Welcome to our 7th workshop, online workshop, and thank you for not yet abandoning me. Many times we have these online trainings and then slowly it becomes so few, but I'm so happy to see so many names and faces. Our topic is the think of something beautiful. And so this is our program. And actually, you can say it is yoga for teenagers. But it's not just yoga. Okay? So in this program, we have 3 aspects. We have the asanas, body-mind balancing. Then we have the quiet time, means love for all, quiet time. And then the third one, we have the self-analysis. So how to think about your thinking. And this we call metacognition. And how to think about our thinking. And this is a very important skill for mental health. And actually they are all aspects of our yoga path. So 3 aspects: physical, mental, and you can say emotional. Mostly it is about what we feel and how we manage our feelings. And connecting these 3, we create proper mental balance. Now the idea is that through this program we help children make better choices. And better choices helps in prevention of risky behavior. So violence, drug addiction, and boy-girl responsible relationships. And so this is the whole program. And I like to reinforce again and again, though I have said many times, I will say it one more time, is the 怎么了？在2楼，你要搭上瑜伽吗？你要上什么课？在2楼。对呀，右边的教室。你上去2楼，有2个门，你坐右边的。老师在那边。Sorry, there's a visitor. He's lost. And so the idea of this, why we take this approach, is we want to help teenagers redirect their own story. Okay, so everybody has a story about who am I and what should I do and how should I behave. And many times, if this story, the way we look at ourselves becomes negative, then we actually maybe end up in socially risky environment. And so maybe we join bad friends or we make wrong choices. So the many programs that address this, they focus on the topic. They say, oh, drugs are so bad, or they say gang life is so bad, you end up in prison, or they say if you become a teenager, father or mother, then your whole life is problem, and then your children's life is problem. So they talk like this about this kind of stuff. Our approach is different. We want to redirect the story, the way we look at ourselves. We want to help children develop self-respect. We want to help children have the physical, mental balance. Through yoga, we adjust the glandular secretions. And through this process, we help children develop more self-respect, and from this they can make better choices and avoid being distracted. And so for our program, we have asanas. Here are the asanas, the yoga poses. And you see I've only selected few because this program is specially, we designed this for teachers who have no yoga background. And actually you don't need to do so many poses to balance the body. And so for different parts of the body I have selected for balancing, creating confidence, relaxing and getting rid of stress and developing hope and positive attitude and creating more focus. And the fifth one is about the highest chakra is happiness. And this is our topic today. Now also I have a poster, and if you didn't get the poster yet, you let us know. And I've sent the posters in the first class. And so here are the certain rules for doing the asanas. I encourage you very much to look at these to get the benefit, okay? And then we have a workbook. And every time that I have sent you the worksheets, if you put them all together, they actually become a workbook. And the workbook, all the worksheets are there. So let's say you want to work with your students, I suggest you make a workbook. And if you want a complete file, you let me know. I can send it to you. And this evening I was discussing with Didi that the children, when they write something, and what do we say? And so let's say children write what is their dream and how they want to achieve that dream and what are the steps to achieve their dreams. So there is no right or wrong, okay? Here we only want to help children develop their own thinking. And so it's not like a school test where you have to pass. It is really about helping children think about their own ideas, their own feelings, and their own longings. And so there is, when children show you the worksheets, the main purpose is that they can talk about what they feel, okay, and what they think. And so who is my support group? And here is very good questions about why are they your friends, and what do they give you, and what do you give them, what do you need from them, and what will you never accept from your friends. And so maybe if they do bad behavior, do you have a red line or not? And so, and it's for discussion. Okay, so let's say you give out these worksheets, maybe make small groups. They can discuss it within their group. If you have facilitators for every group, that can be beneficial. So you would have to train people. And so the idea is we want to develop the children's own thoughts. Now, today I have sent to you a chart. The chart I sent you is black and white. But if you look at the first page of the resources for today, you basically have this chart. And so we have talked about the earth personality, the foundation of our personality. 4 directions: physical, intellectual, psycho-spiritual, and spiritual. Psycho-spiritual means you want to be a good person. You want to help others. Intellectual, you like to learn and learn and learn. IQ mostly. And so these are the 4 big directions in our whole development. Then we have talked about the water aspects of our personality. This is our social connection. And so let's say we get hurt in our relationships, and how do we react? And so let's say if there is a divorce and there are children in the family, father leaves the house, how do children deal with this hurt, this betrayal of trust? And so if children cannot trust the family, that's a big shock to their system. So some children, they will close up, some children will become aggressive and they will destroy things. Some children maybe develop addictive behavior to avoid. And so these are the 6 emotions we have on the water personality. And the third one is about our independence. So here we take charge of our own lives. So there are 10 emotions that can appear with this, according to yoga psychology. And if you remember, we talked about Pinocchio. Actually, Pinocchio is stuck in all those 10 different aspects of the mind. Then we talked about creating hope and a future. And so this is the heart, the air personality. And I think it's very important that children develop hope. So in our education, and our neo-humanist education, from kindergarten, we already give children ideals. And so from kindergarten, we already train children, or animals are my friends, or I love my community, or the whole world is my family, we are a global village. And these ideals we have to give to children so they develop their heart qualities. If children grow up without ideal, they're basically stuck here. Okay? They're basically stuck in their social emotions and in their frustrations with their career. Now we want to go a little higher. Now education can encourage this. And so our education, one big purpose of our education is to develop an aspiration. This is a goal I want to achieve in my life. I want to stop war. I want to stop hunger. I want to help poor people. And I want justice for people who are discriminated against. So now we learn about these emotions because they're ideals. We sacrifice, we empathize, but we also have ego. Okay, so this is important to understand that living for ideals doesn't mean that we are ideal ourselves. Now, then we come to the space personality. Here we see our cosmic identity. So here our small self is already kind of surrendered. And we already surrendered this aspect of ourselves. And here we move with the cosmic flow. So you can say here is physical self, this is social self, actional self, ideal self, here is no more, this is cosmos. So here you develop cosmic power. And you're not connected, not limited to our own small ego world. We are connected to the universal forces. So you can break through time, place, and person. And you can know what people think, you can see future, you can see past, you can understand animals and plants, you can make art. Now art, we didn't talk too much about that last time, but art is very often from this area of the mind. And it speaks a language that opens you up to something totally unexpected. It can set you free. Now then there are 16 values. Now last week we talked about this one. And these are two qualities, the qualities of worldly knowledge and spiritual knowledge. And here actually in psychology we would say this is self-actualization. So the king or the queen and the sage. And the sage is the man of wisdom who makes the right choices in life. And so here is that we develop the focus. And this time, I'm sorry, last week I kind of skipped a little bit, but we can develop this with discipline. Okay, so here you have so many forces in the mind. These forces can be focused, can be channelized into one point. And that creates greatness. That gives your personality a force and motivation and purpose. So much of our energy is lost in handling our small ego. But once we develop the discipline, and that is meditation, once we develop the focus, I connect with my universal self, with my infinite self, then we can slowly bring control over all these forces. And this is something that can help us very much with dealing with our emotions. And so once we have this discipline, then we can overcome a lot of this emotional instability. Now, today we are talking about the last card, and that is choosing joy, and to choose our inner happiness and totally surrender our whole person to the joy of the universe. And so it's not the joy of a cup of coffee or a massage or a good sleep, it's the joy that is infinite. And so that is the soul personality. So we have 7 layers here. And you can say 1 is physical, 5 layers of the mind, and then your spiritual self. So this is an overview. And the idea is I make this chart to let everybody see that if you want to manage your emotions, you have to focus on the higher. So one way to focus is to control, you discipline your mind. Another way is to totally surrender to your spiritual, your eternal, infinite joy. And so I try to avoid a little bit these spiritual names, but depends on your audience, okay? I think with you, I think we have some understanding. So, when we talk about this with our students, and I would suggest you first show them the chart and have them an overview. And then I would break up in work groups, and I would go to the second page of the resources I sent you, and which is basically a review of our whole training. 10 ways to grow happiness. So there's a figure on the chart, and then I suggest you draw lines, and then you can write what can create happiness. So I want to encourage you to give me some feedback. What are ways to bring happiness into life? And we need 10, okay? Any ideas? Anybody can talk, okay? Feel free to open your mic and okay, helping others. People are very quiet, they're very cute. They send to you can talk, okay? We like to hear your voice. Okay, Shi Hui says, helping others in need, okay? So helping. Do you remember where we saw helping in our course? It's not so obvious, but we covered it. Do you remember we had Jama Niyama? Tapasya. And tapasya is helping others. And so tapa or tapasya is covered, helping. Selfless service, okay, that's nice. Cynthia's same tapasya. This is chatting, Vivian. Chatting is also very cute. Talking to others. So connecting to other people and spending time in nature. Lalita suggests going to nature. Yeah. These are very good ideas. Do you remember the first? You remember the 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 first workshop we did online? We talked about 4 aspects. If if we live a life that is not in harmony with our inner desires, we become depressed and unhappy and sick, maybe even sick. Okay. And so if you live a life that is not, let's say you have a spiritual desire and that is strong in your life, but you have no environment uh, to, 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 to develop it, then you lose that. You have this inner urge and you have no external support for developing that longing. You can become sick and you can get headaches, migraines, and so on. And so I think the first, what I would, if we follow our system, and I would like, I see many good suggestions are here, and Anna share also, you have to do asanas, yoga exercise. These are good, all very important. But I like we review all what we mentioned here. So the first one is self-knowledge. Understand what you really want. Okay, and so go visit different activities and see what you like. And like when I was small, my father and mother never went to church. But I would go to church, and my brothers, they would laugh at me. Okay, so then I found the church didn't give me answers. And then I went to other groups. I went to Buddhist groups. I went to Zen groups. I went to joined nature groups. And finally, I only found myself in the yoga path, the spiritual yoga. Okay, so this one, you cannot give an answer to children. They have to find their own direction. Now the second, so self-knowledge. Do you remember this of self-knowledge? Now for the second layer, we talked about what is important is good friends. Get a good support group. We cannot manage by ourselves. Okay? And I think it's good to admit that. And sometimes we read about these great yogis and then they sit in the Himalayas. I tell you, behind this great yogi doing meditation in a cave, in a mountain, there is a whole support group. There's a group of people who bring food to him, who bring firewood, who take care of his needs. And if he's in trouble, there are people who are going to help him. He is maybe spending much time on meditation, but he has a support group. And everybody needs a support group. And so this is the second point. You need good friends. Okay, so we talked about that. Now the third one, I hope you remember, we talked about values. And so our values, we have to be very clear. What do I stand for? What are my principles? And next week, maybe today also, we will continue with exploring values and how we can help children think about their values. Okay, that's our shield, it's our protection, and it helps us balance our the negative side of our fire personality. Because here there's a lot of ego. And this ego can harm others. And the water personality is more ego hurting yourself. This one is very much ego hurting you. Of course, water also can hurt others. Okay, so here we look at the next treasure, and here is our ideal. So we live for hope. Okay, so we live for hope and we live for dreams, and we cultivate it actively. Okay? So it is something that we grow. And hope is not something automatically is part of us. The way I see it is the first, and this water and fire develop biologically. From the heart and the higher qualities, they need nurturing. And so our society will develop the water and fire personality. But hope, ideals, dreams, sacrifice, morality, this needs cultivation, needs practice. And we look at our masters. And so our master, he encourages us very much to do social work, and not just to do service, but also to bring ideological new vision into the world. And I feel he gives us a vision for the air person, for the heart. So if we have an ideal, we are not going to be pulled down so much by the emotions from the water and fire personality. We have to have a hope. So that is the next source of happiness. Here we talk the space, we talk about intuition and wisdom. And so we cultivate wisdom, we cultivate intuition. Now, intuition and wisdom actually is beyond logic. It's beyond reasoning. And so here actually really rely on your meditation, your quiet time, your spiritual practices. And then last week we talked about discipline. And so these are so far we have 6, and then we have yoga, we have meditation, we have service. And so all these qualities come together, and we like our students understand that they have tools to manage themselves. And I remember the first time I did meditation, I was so inspired in one way, because the first time I did quiet time, I learned that I can direct my thoughts. I felt I'm the king of my mind. And I can stop my thoughts, I can change my thoughts, I can give them a different, higher direction. I can control my mind. And that feeling, I think, is you're not slave of your emotions. You can be, you have that ability to control your thoughts. Okay, and now today we talk about the last one. And the last one actually is a kind of little bit, this joy is what human beings are made for. The word human, and if you look at the etymology of human, in the Persian language, Hu means spirit. Man means mind. So human, or what we say in English, human, is actually a description of we are made of spirit, and we are infinite. And so this human, this word, already reflects this quality. And so in Latin it's called Homo sapiens. Of course, these scientists give this to us, this word. And sapiens means actually wisdom. And wisdom maybe doesn't go as far as human. Human means spirit. Now, to develop this joy, I want to review with you Yama Niyama. So the Yama Niyama, now I put everything, I don't know, every time I do something, I make a book. Some people, they don't like me because I always write books. But I feel this one is actually, of all the things I did, this is not too bad. Let's say that, okay? If you want it, you can write me. I will send you personally. And in it are many stories, and today we will read this. But before we do this, I'd like you to look at page 3 of your worksheets, okay? And there is a chart. And I have much hope that this is a 21-day challenge you can do with your students. And so let's say they attend your activity, and maybe you have 1 day or maybe you have 1 week. When they go home, ask them to practice for 21 days these points, the points that make us happy. Okay? So the first one is yoga. Okay? Asanas. And once a day, I said once a day. If you can do twice, it's good. But the second one is quiet time, morning and evening, twice a day. Now, the third one is the values of love and jama niyama. So here I wrote down every value. And I think this is a very big part of analyzing ourselves. So ahimsa, satya, this all, is values. Then after jama niyama, we have work towards your ideal, means hope. Okay? So what am I doing today that helps me achieve my dream? And so every simple action has ideological value. So encourage your students to work towards their ideal. And you remember we talked about hope and positive thinking. Positive thinking is only positive. Hope also has the practical steps to achieve your goal. And this is so. This is in the chart. Are you working towards your ideal or not? Next one is cultivate your wisdom and self-reflection. Now here means think about your thinking. And so when we talk about the space person, we discussed already that we want to grow our wisdom to beyond logic. And now the last one is responsible leadership. Here we ask children to be responsible and do something for others. Maybe help parents, or maybe help classmates, or offer support. It's not just be a victim, but be a leader. And I think my master, he used to tell, he doesn't want followers, he wants leaders, people independent thinking. Yeah, so these are the items of my 21-day challenge. And maybe some of us could work on this. It's not 16 points, but I didn't count actually. Maybe there are actually 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 plus 10. Yeah, actually there are 60 points. That's not my plan, okay? It just happened. All right, so this is what I wanted to share with you for activities. One link share, growing happiness means playing games. Yeah, sure, these are very good. These are very good points. Keep in mind that the happiness we want to cultivate is a spiritual happiness. It's not just fun. Of course, fun is good. All right, so this is the first step for our discussion today. Does anybody have any questions about this? Okay, so then we'll continue, okay? And today I was thinking to start with Yama Niyama. And we start with Ahimsa. There are stories, and I want to show you. And once you get the idea, I think for you it's very easy to do your own stories. Here, I want to start with Ahimsa. Ahimsa means don't hurt others. Okay, simple translation is non-harming. And here I want to, because we say non-harming, and it's very easy to say, okay, don't hurt others. But there are many steps in our mind before we can develop compassion. And compassion is not something you say and you have it. You have to cultivate it. And it is, you have to understand what blocks compassion. Now, one source of violence and why we are aggressive or why we become, why do we hurt other people? One reason is we have grief and we are hurt and we don't know how to deal with it, and it becomes an aggressive act. And so if you remember, grief is usually the second layer, the water personality, and it becomes cruelty. You hurt other people. So here is the story. This story is from Africa. There were two girls. They were born in the same month, in the same village. And they grew up together. From very young age, they would play together. Their mothers would talk to each other. And their mothers would feed their children. If one mother was busy, the other mother would care for the other child. They were just like one family. The two girls sometimes would share their clothes, share their toys, share their books, and they would go to the same school from kindergarten, elementary, junior, senior, high school, all together. They were like two peas in a pot. They were everywhere together. And then they got married. And you cannot believe it. They got married to two boys from the same family. So the boys they married, they were brothers. Just like actually they were life sisters. And they were not really biological sisters, they were life sisters. And not only that, more amazing, they got pregnant at the same time. Their bellies were growing and growing, and they were sharing what is happening to them and how they want to train their babies. And everything was going very nicely. They also, during their pregnancy, they had a very strong longing for one kind of fruit. And both of them wanted the same fruit. So they would go into the forest, go find a fruit tree, and pick the fruits they wanted to eat, and they would every day enjoy. Now their bellies were bigger and bigger and bigger, and actually the bellies began to drop a little. The old women in the village, they said, girls, now don't go far away from the village. You know, the time is coming very soon for you to give birth. But they wanted to eat that fruit. And the trees nearby the village didn't have any fruits anymore. So they had to go deeper and deeper into the forest to get the fruit that they wanted to eat. So they found one tree far in the forest. One of them said, my belly is too big. I cannot climb this tree. And the other said, my belly is big too, but I must go and climb that tree. And she climbed and climbed, and picked the fruits and threw them down to the girl waiting under the tree. And the girl under the tree said, "My friend, we have enough fruits. Don't go on. It's enough." He says, "No, no, let me go. There's one more." And she stretched her arm and she stretched her arm, trying to get that last fruit. And the branch broke. The branch broke. The fruit fell down. The girl, with her big belly, fell down. She fell down from branch to branch to branch, and she fell right on top of the other girl. As they fell down, the water began to break. Their babies were coming out, and they were calling for help, 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 help. But the village was very far away. Nobody could hear them. They were screaming and they were pushing. And then after a long time, their babies came out. The same time, one baby cried very loudly. The other baby, there was no sound. They looked at the child and they saw there was no life. And the mother of that stillborn baby began to scream very loudly. The village people heard her scream and they came over to see what was wrong. And she said, "You see, she fell on top of me. My baby has died. She must give her child to me. That child can replace my child." Now, the story ends here. Okay, so this is a dilemma. Two best friends, everything was smoothly. One of them encounters a moment of tremendous pain, and bone-cutting pain is so terrible pain. You lose your own child. And she doesn't know what to do. She only can say, "It's your mistake and you have to give your child to me." And the other girl doesn't want to share. She doesn't want that. So there's no answer. Now here actually starts a discussion. And I don't know, maybe you can share. What do you feel should be done? And this one child is stillborn, and the other child is alive and healthy. Now, the mother of the stillborn child, who is actually only a young girl, she is stricken by grief. She wants to beat the other girl because she feels because of her baby died. She's blaming her. And she's mad with pain and so much grief. So I don't know if anybody has ideas, but when you are with your students, my suggestion is you get feedback. So Amy, what do you think?
And they share the baby. Two mothers, one baby.
That's common sense. But this mother his heart is broken. The heart is broken, Amy. This mother cannot, and I'm sure the villagers will say the same thing. We raised them together. You can have another baby. You're still so young. But at that moment, she is so hurt with grief, she will not consider ahimsa. Any other suggestions? Didyananda Suveda, what do you think?
Yeah, I had the same thinking. Maybe there should be
the share.
I think I can't find a better way.
But there's some of these issues, and here we talk about a story. There's a problem with one child. How about one country and another country? And one country feels hurt by the neighboring country or by a third country. So there's grief, and on a national level, it's very difficult to handle, very difficult. And so if we talk about ahimsa, we have to learn how to handle our pain, because there's going to be pain. Sooner or later, we are going to suffer, okay? So, common sense says share, work together, and do the best for your child. But, the woman the mother of the stillborn baby feels the other mother is criminal. You can say she killed the baby. Maybe she wants the mother to be in jail. And if the villagers don't put her in jail, she will feel injustice. And so grief can create a lot of anger and violence, and we perpetrate this on our fellow human beings. And so this unresolved grief is a big issue. I think today, especially men, the males, have carried grief inside. So I think one reason why people they like these violent games is kind of project their grief, their anger, and their aggression. And so this is something that's really alive in the society all over. And everybody feel injustice and wants to shoot, and I don't know if you saw the news. It is so amazing. She's the vice president of Philippines, and she says that the president of Philippines wants to kill me, but she has already arranged somebody that if she is killed, that person will kill the president. So this is all grief and anger and frustration. So if we want to do really ahimsa, non-violence in the society, at a moment of grief, I don't think we can do much, but we can prevent. And so actually our yoga practice is, the first one is, what I see is yoga teaches that in this universe, nothing is our own. Even our body is borrowed from the universe. And the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, these qualities are not our own. These qualities belong to the universe. And when our souls are gone, we give this back to the universe. We borrow it. So the idea that anything in this whole universe is mine has to be challenged. Okay, so this is the first practice we can learn, that nothing in this world is mine. The second practice is to deal with our attachments. And because we do have attachments, we do feel we need things. And so here is a mother, and she is so focused on her child. And her whole body was taken over by the child. So it's natural, and we don't blame her, don't misunderstand. But we have in our lives, when we find ourselves attached to something, maybe we have to think, why do I need this external thing to make myself happy? What is lacking within myself that I need something external. What should I deal with internally to make myself free from attachment so that I can see this universe as cosmic property, not my personal. And so it is a kind of self-questioning. And this, why do I need this money? Why do I need this house? Why do I need these friends? Why can I not balance myself? Why do I get hurt if my friends turn against me or speak badly about me? And so the first one is try to learn to see everything as cosmic. The second one is, if we have attachment, how can we let go of our attachment? How can I grow myself and be free from attachment? And then the third one, and that is karma. Karma means, Amy, do you know karma? Karma means 因果, 因缘. And this, in yoga we call samskara. And so every action has a reaction. So if in this life we are good people, but something bad happens to us, it is maybe not a reaction from this life, maybe it's a reaction from past life. And we have to live through this. And so the mother lost the baby, and the baby was alive for long, but the baby also, her life stopped suddenly. This is samskara, this is karma. And so once we understand that not everybody comes to this earth to live 90 years or 100 years or more. Some children, some souls come to this earth and they live. They come to this earth with very few samskaras. And just growing in the mother's belly, they already maybe can finish their work. And maybe they can, for this time, they go back. And I give you these three options, and if you want to use this story. Maybe you have more options in your own. Maybe your students have different interests. But I think this is a very nice approach to understand, okay, non-violence. But what is it? And non-violence is a word, but what does it mean? And I think letting go of anger, surrendering grief, I think we have to talk about this with children. They have anger, they have grief, they feel injustice, they feel inability, shame. And from very young age, children learn shame because they're not good enough. They cannot live up to expectations. And small children, they eat food. The bowl falls on the floor, mother gets angry. Small children, they eat food, they throw up. They don't throw up on purpose. And so this is one story I feel, and I like this format of a dilemma. And so it is, this is a way to talk about ahimsa. More stories, Emmy? So I collected many stories, and every story has a certain focus. Okay, another dilemma, okay? There are stories, but maybe we can do another time. And actually my plan is to make videos for every story. So this whole course for these stories, the Jama Niyama, will be online. And if you want, you can look how I tell those stories. Okay, second story. And this story also is interesting. And this story is about non-harming by omission. So you don't really harm, but you also don't stop the harm. And is that ahimsa, or is that a violation of ahimsa or not? Okay, so let's listen first to the story. Once upon a time, there were two brothers, the smart one and the fool. And so they were living with their parents in a hut in the forest. Again, Africa, okay? And many of these dilemma stories come from Ghana, West Africa. They have this tradition. So the fool, he was a good man. He was good at hunting, and he knew something about herbal cures. The smart one was clever and a bully. And he was his father's favorite. So his father would always favor the big brother. Anything good, even if the fool one did something good, the father said, no, it's bad. And anything the good fool one did good, he would say, oh, it's the smart one who taught you. So every time they went hunting, the fool would catch the best food. But when they got home, the smart one would tell everybody, no, you see, I got this. I got all this. I caught this food. And the father would clap his hands and say, yes, 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 you are so great. And the fool, what did he bring? Nothing. So the fool was always put down by his father. Now one day, they were eating together, and the father choked on some food. And the mother and the smart one, they tried to pat his back, but the father couldn't cough up the food, and he couldn't swallow the food. And he had a very hard time. And so they asked the fool, what herbs can you bring to help father? Now the fool, he didn't move. He said, every time I do something, father laughs at me. Every time I bring food from the hunt, he said, this is my brother, and he laughs at me. I cannot accept all the time this injustice. I will not help him. The father died. The whole village mourned his death. And they asked each other, was this boy right or wrong? Should he be punished or not? Okay, so you can say he didn't hurt the father. He didn't beat the father. He didn't, kick the father. He didn't poison the father. But everybody, so no ahimsa. Looks like no ahimsa. Amy, what do you think? He didn't help the father because he felt that father was not father to him. That father was a bully. Father anyway, right? Whatever he does, he's your father. You have to support. You have whatever bad things. Maybe he'll become a good person. This is Chinese culture. So family bonds are so tight. So the question, there's a story and there is a dilemma, there is a question. So you can say this is violence by omission. And he hurt somebody by not helping when he could help. Now, once you take this point, once you take this as a principle, and this we have to discuss with children, when you see injustice or people suffering in society. So for example, you walk on the street and there is somebody sleeping, homeless person. Do you help that person or not? So for example, one day I was new in Taiwan. I just had come to Taiwan. I couldn't speak Chinese at all. And there was one man, and he had a dog on a leash. I can never forget because I feel I was wrong. I didn't, and then he threw the dog in the river. So the water was flowing, and the dog was swimming and swimming and swimming. And the man was just holding the leash, and he was laughing at the dog. And it went on for maybe like 20, 30 minutes, what I saw, but I couldn't. I was thinking, what's going on? But you have to understand, I was a foreigner here. So still I'm a foreigner. But I was new here, okay? And I thought maybe this is a local sport. They train dogs to become strong, grow muscles so they can go to swimming competition. And I don't know, still in my heart, I feel I should have stopped that man from this dog abuse. But when you come in a different culture, sometimes you encounter things that you feel, is this local culture or is this wrong? So, and my Chinese was poor, and that man, I think he was maybe a little bit funny in the head. And so you see somebody hurt somebody, you don't interfere, you don't stop it, you also hurt that person. It's against ahimsa. You have a duty to stop the hurt of others. And so this becomes a very big social thing, that if you see people are poor, if you see discrimination, if you see injustice, and if you see, let's say, as a man, you get your paycheck, and then you see the female colleague who does the same job gets less money, there is an injustice. According to this principle, if you don't stand up for your colleague, you harm by omission. It's against ahimsa. Now, I am aware that this is very radical, and actually we call this deep morality. Okay, it is a thinking more deeply about the basic concept of nonviolence. And I would encourage you, and if you encounter teenagers, to work with them and develop this deep morality, this deep sense, because finally you will find, through thinking about the principles of right and wrong, you end up with pure compassion. Because without pure compassion, you cannot follow ahimsa. You cannot follow satya, honesty. And without pure compassion, you cannot follow any of this. So with my children, I call these the values of love. And because all these values bring you back to the central point of love. Yeah, I put many stories, and if you want, you can write me in WhatsApp or WeChat, or I can share with you. And maybe we can expand. Maybe you get more and more stories. So next week I will continue with this. This size is B5. My design is B5. So if you want to print it, and I'll give you the cover also. Actually, it's quite nice. Yeah, I spend much time on this, but I want to encourage you so you have more tools to work with your students. All right, so for today, I think we have done a lot already. Any questions? Anybody wants to share something? Do you like my stories?
I would like to ask you, Rudra Mohan, because you're saying like, oh, maybe in your past life or some scars and all that. But what if we are talking to someone who is like a Christian and doesn't believe in past life, or a Muslim, Indonesia is, most people are Muslims and all that. So how would you handle this in that situation?
Kalyani, I don't have all the answers. um, because these different cultures, and it's very sensitive, because once you touch a religion, it's really, everybody becomes more alert.
Yeah.
I think you have to see the situation, because some people say, "Oh, it's a curse of God that bad things happen to you." Um, some people say it's the devil.
Yeah.
So this I would avoid, but at least we can. The other two we can do, right? Attachment and surrender. Of, I think this irrespective of. Well, children go
So,
back to
so,
heaven.
so what I think is that in Indonesia, I think, what you have given us is fantastic. But I think it, to me, I think that it can only be used in a very, in certain circles or certain communities, and it cannot be used generally, so we can use it saying this is from our yoga philosophy, and I mean, it stems from, because no point pretending that it's not right, because everyone can find out. So I think that it can only be used in a very limited situation in Indonesia.
Kalyani, I don't agree, because here I gave you the answers.
Mm-hmm.
When in any setting, you can tell the story and see their feedback, because what you really want is to stimulate their thinking about these
Mm-hmm.
issues. And I put this under the topic of grief, the topic of ahimsa, means because we talk about non-violence and non-aggression and compassion, but there are obstacles to this compassion, and I think this brings it to a neutral plane. Maybe because most of us here, we are into yoga somehow. Um, so that's why I speak more like this. I think I would be sensitive also and I
Mm-hmm.
believe the story itself can be done in any environment.
Yes, yes. The story can be, um, definitely you can use the story, and discuss it, yeah, in all kinds of settings, yeah,
Yeah,
in terms of
yeah. So
religious beliefs and all that all.
yeah, maybe I just got carried away a little
Oh
bit.
no, I think that what you are teaching and sharing with us is very, very valuable.
It is just Baba's things, because Baba says, um, not helping by omission is a sin. Okay, so it is his
Yeah,
idea.
yeah. I mean, I think discussing all these values, but maybe we just have to orientate it differently. I mean, just using this book and saying it's ahimsa and all that all is already like, oh, this is,
Yeah,
yeah. But the materials, I think maybe, of course, if we can teach it just within a yoga community or people who are open only, then 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 you can use the
sure.
full, make full use of it. Um,
Actually, Kalyani, I appreciate very much your point. What I wanted to show is not how to answer the question, but actually, I want how can we go deeper thinking about the issue of
mm,
nonviolence. And
okay.
there's a psychological reason why our world has so much uh, violence. And if
Yes.
we don't address the psychology, we are not going to get better results. And I think this is the main focus. And I just
Yes, I mean, that's why I think that what you are sharing with us is very, very valuable and wonderful. Uh, it's only like then we have to pick and choose where we use what. And like you say, the stories can be used, but that they have to be presented maybe in or using certain languages or whatever it is, but the issues, the issues that you bring up apply to
Yeah.
everyone. Yeah, I mean the all settings.
Sure.
And
It's
true, and
universal.
I agree that it's good to. I mean, I don't know how old children have to be before they can start thinking about such things. It really depends, and also it depends on the environment that if they're used to being exposed to all these things, and of course they will be much more. If you have like your school and you have been already bringing up all these points with them, then you can use it.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Anyway, everybody looks at their own situation and see.
Mm,
I just share different tools, and
mm.
yeah, thank you.
Okay, but thank you very much. Yeah. Mhm.
Next week, one more class, okay?
Okay.
Any more people want to share? Uh,
Namaskar.
okay.
I was thinking, we are sharing the stories, and if we after the story we can ask the kids that if you were this person, how you feel and what will you react. Then think again, if you another person, like these two sisters, if you the one A, then how you feel, how is your reaction, then
Yeah.
you can B, how you feel, what is your reaction, then maybe can have a better understanding.
Yeah, here in the I put some tips for sharing the story. So I think this idea of a role play and putting yourself in the shoes of the other person, and you can bring up. Yeah, it's very good idea. But I think I what we learn is all problems in the world are moral problems. They're not political. They are not technological. They are not economical. They are moral. And moral means through these ethical values, we can change how we think and how we behave. And if we don't change our ethics, we are not going to be able to make a better planet. And so sometimes, but I feel when I started this, sorry, I'm talking again, but just 2 minutes, okay. And so I thought we can change the world with meditation. Now, honestly speaking, I don't see that the whole world is going to do meditation, at least not in my lifetime. and but I think moral education and thinking about ethics and the psychology of ethics, this can this has more universal application. And so I was Kalyani mentioned that okay, the story is okay, but maybe how we work with the story is depends on the environment, and I think that is a very fair point. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah.
thank you. There's one question on WeChat. You want to ask a question? Yeah, when Tima has
I just want to share you a real story.
a real story, okay? My stories are real stories, okay?
Confidence, I'm not sure. It's about my brother. He suffered from mental depression for 2 or 3 years. But I heard the story from my mom, and last year, maybe at night, he heard, a man is bullying another woman, and he felt so upset and he couldn't feel asleep. So he called my dad, and the dad called the policeman. Uh, there is a guard just near the man and the woman, but he noticed it, but he did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So at that moment, I feel really proud of my little boy, that I feel he's so brave and he's a good boy.
Mm, such a touching story. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So this actually, your name is Julie, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Julie. So Julie shared a real life story that, one person observed the domestic violence, but didn't do anything, and her brother called the guard, called the police to settle the matter. So even, you endanger yourself by taking such a step, but at the same time, you cannot tolerate this injustice. Thank you. Okay, I think for today we have done enough, and look forward to next week is our closing session, and I look forward to seeing you again. Namaskar, take care everybody, and keep well.
Thank you.
Yeah, good night. Good night.
Thank you.
Namaskar. Thank you.